Hello, it's the Beginner Crafter. Welcome to the second WIPTube video. I'm sorry about the way I sound, but I have a cold and I don't think it's going to go away very soon, so I'm recording the way I sound. Today I'm going to show my cross-stitch works in progress, but I also started a crochet project, and I will unbox yarns for another project, so stay tuned because I'll talk about it a bit later. So let's start with cross-stitching. First, Miranda, which is my main piece. This is what it looks like right now, and I'm going to show you also what it has looked like the last time I showed you and what it's going to look like once it's finished. And with Miranda, last time I did over 1,100 stitches. In total in January I made 2,855 stitches on Miranda, and that means I'm at 19.55%. That means that most probably next time I'll get to 20%, and once I get to 20% I will start dealing with all the parked threads, because there's a lot of them. They are tangled up and I want to clean the picture of those threads, leave them either very short and very few of them, or preferably without any of them, but I'll be fine with such lengths threads. Like, if there's no better way for it, if it would be too much for me to try to look for a spot which is very far away from other spots, and I would be afraid I would make mistakes in counting, because going grid by grid like I'm doing it here in Miranda, so filling more or less the 10 by 10 grid, it makes it easier for me to do counted cross-stitching. I can easily see where each stitch should go because there's not too much counting. Once I need to put stitches that are a bit further away, it gets more and more complicated, and it just takes longer for me to make sure that I didn't make a mistake, and it still happens sometimes that I make a mistake, and I want to avoid that. That's why if a stitch that I would need to put with one of these threads would be too far away, I would just leave the thread just hopefully shorter than what I have now, and the picture will be much cleaner, and then I would go back to going grid by grid. So that's more or less the plan for the nearest future of Miranda. I am getting to this border between the sky and the sea. I've already done some light stitches and a little bit of those blue stitches. I think I also did fill a little bit of this page as well, so it's getting better and better every time I do it. It looks much nicer, even though most of you can see it's just the sky and the sea, not much more, but somewhere here there should already be the lady, some kind of character that would shake things up a bit in the picture. The second cross stitch that I did was Mini Marvelous Garden, and as you can see I did fill more of the second page, a little bit of the first page as well, but here you don't see it as much of a difference. Although you can compare what it looked like before and what it's supposed to look like once it's finished. And as you can see, I did do page 3, and it turned out I counted badly with where I'm supposed to finish. So the margins right now are quite symmetrical, but it turned out I skipped I don't know how many stitches, 8 I think. So I will have to like prolong this part, so this margin will be a little bit thinner in the end. So yeah, a mistake on my part. I'm guessing it's because I counted the tens wrongly, because I started counting sort of from the first dot, as it's the first stitch, when the first stitch actually sort of finishes on the second dot, if you know what I mean. For example, here, this is the first dot of the grid, but this is not where the first stitch finishes, this is where it finishes. And I think at first I counted those wrongly, and that's why I'm missing a few stitches. But yeah, it happens sometimes. Thankfully 8 stitches, it's something like that, shouldn't be too big of a problem. I have a big enough margin, so it just won't look as symmetrical anymore, but I don't think it will be a problem while framing. And as you can see, there is already a lot of threads parked and again getting tangled. With Mini Marvelous Garden, I made 213 stitches in the last 2 weeks. In total, in January, that's almost 600 stitches. And I'm at 31.14%. So almost at a third of the picture. But I'll be probably cleaning up the Mini Marvelous Garden once I get to 50%. So more or less when I finish that whole row, because it should be more or less half of the picture. So this is the Mini Marvelous Garden, and this is Avarice, the largest piece so far. And with Avarice, again, you can compare what it looked like the last time and what it's going to look like once it's finished. With Avarice, I made almost 500 stitches in the last 2 weeks. In January, 1200 stitches, and I'm at 5.02% of the picture. So it's the least advanced picture in my collection, but you can more clearly see the circles. I focused mostly on page 2, although there were some stitches put in page 3 and in page 1 as well. I cleaned it up a little bit as well. This one thread is mostly because it was not convenient to put it a bit further down, but I'm trying to clean as I go, so I'm working more or less grid by grid. However, I go cross-country stitching with a color that I have, and just put stitches in that color wherever they are the closest. So there's a bit more scattered picture, and not as sort of clean as you would get with grid by grid, but at least I guess it shows more of the shapes that it's going to have, and I kind of like it the way it is. So I'm glad I'm doing this piece a little bit different, because here if I waited for a long time to clean all the parked threads, it would be a disaster. I mean, it takes a lot of stitches to get to 5%, So if I wanted to give it like a threshold of those 5% or 10%, it would be a disaster with all the threads parked. It's better this way with Avarice. So I like it the way it is right now, and I want to keep it clean this way while stitching. It's still mostly dark colors, so it's still quite unpleasant, I guess, to work with because of all the blacks, dark browns, dark reds, maroon, just not really light things, although you can see there are some lighter ones, so it's not so bad, but I am hoping to get to lighter colors soon, especially the golds, because Avarice is about gold and there's just not a lot of it here yet. I'm hoping to get there pretty soon. Okay, now the crochet project. First, let me show you the picture of the lady who made hers, so that you can see the pattern of it, what it's going to look like. And this is what I have so far. It's not a lot. It is, I think, 9 rows of the pattern. This is inset mosaic crochet. That means you change the color every 2 rows. So you go one way with the color and then you return with the color, and you do those double stitches or treble stitches, sort of going over the stitches from the previous rows. And I made so many mistakes with this one. I had to frog so many times that I would be, I guess, twice the length of it already, if not 3 times, just because of how difficult it was for me to get the rhythm of it and to understand what I'm doing. Also, at first I was using a crochet hook by Bella Coco that I had from my Crochet Society boxes. Most of the time they work really, really well, but with this project it was absolute nightmare. It just wouldn't go through easily. The yarn is not twisted, so it splits very, very easily, so it was horrible. Luckily I found my crochet hook of the size that I need from my, I guess, favorite set, which is Drops Circus. They are really, really soft to handle. They are very smooth, so I don't get as many problems with them when it comes to tangling things up or letting the thread go. The only critique I might have, the only complaint, is that they're actually quite short. So if I crochet for a long time, this end sort of touches a lot of my skin in this area of my hand, of my palm, and after a while it's just a little irritated. So I would prefer them to be a little bit longer, so they actually stuck out of my hand. And the yarn that Mac Mama makes suggests, I mean, she used it for her pattern. Actually, this is a free pattern that you can get if you join Mac Mama Makes Facebook group, and then in the files you can find a lot of different patterns. She makes inset mosaic and I think overlay mosaic. So you can choose whichever you prefer. I prefer this one because I don't have to cut threads all the time and then weave them in, which I hate. The yarns I'm using are from Lilopi love boxes. I bought, I think, 3 or 4 in total, and they were like surprise boxes that we get in my country. And the boxes get, I think, 2 of those large cakes and a smaller ball of yarn, and usually some kind of gadgets like a pencil or a pen or a lollipop, things like that. And I couldn't really find a use for them because well, this one is a sort of black, gray, white, blue color, so that's something I could use. But the other one is very tropical in colors, and I could find the use for the outer layers, like up to here, but the ones on the inside, they are too warm for me, and I wouldn't really know how to use them. With this pattern, I loved the way it looked with how the author of the pattern made it. So I decided this is the perfect project for me to use those threads and feel happy about them. What I'm trying to make, I think, will be a rug. I know the original was sort of a scarf, so it's thinner, but very, very long, and I don't really want that, although the cakes here are bigger than the whorls that I think the author used, because the whorls are about 1000 meters, and these cakes are 1400 meters long, so it still could be quite long, but we'll see when I get there. So I'm still at the beginnings of the pattern. You can't really see much. I know it's going to need a lot of blocking because it does this spiral thing. The wider it gets, the less it does it, but still it's kind of wonky, so it's going to need blocking, that's for sure. So it will take some time before I get there to the end, although once I caught the rhythm of it, it's better, and those stitch markers, when I sort of put where the pattern begins and ends, the main pattern, they helped me to catch mistakes, but still sometimes something slips. That's why I have to rip it and then crochet it back. But I hope next time I'll have much bigger progress to show you, and actually you will be able to see the pattern forming like really nicely. And now the unboxing. I bought the yarn because I wanted to make a tunic for myself, and it was a tunic with knitting and crocheting, and I needed to buy the yarn, I needed to buy the knitting needles as well, so it took me a while to think about what kind of needles I want, whether I want just the number they suggest, but what if my gauge is different, do I want a set? Then I realized I need to test something that I'm designing. I need to test on a different yarn that I have to check which one works better, so I need more yarn. So it took me a longer while to make a decision what yarns I need, and I began the crochet pattern in the meantime, so I don't know when I will actually get to doing this pattern. It is a spring summer thing, so it's not like I need to start right now, but I guess it's also would be nice to start pretty soon, because knowing my tempo of working, yeah, it might be difficult to finish it before the summer. Okay, they say I shouldn't actually use this kind of knife for it, but I don't really know the better tool right now. I mean, I get why they don't want that, because I could, in theory, cause problem, but it can be solved in a way going like this. Okay, so, oh, it's a little darker than I thought it would be, honestly. This is Drops Bell, and that's also Drops Bell. I actually thought they were a bit more blue. And this one is a little bit more green. I don't remember the color that I ordered, to be honest, but it's a little bit more green than I expected, and this one is just darker than I expected, but it should work. I quite like those colors, so it's just that I don't really remember what I ordered. That's also this and this. So this and this. So this is the yarn that I have for my project. I hope it will be enough. I counted more or less the amount of grams I need for my size, and I hope I counted correctly, and I will knit and crochet well enough with gauge to actually get that size with the amount of yarn I have. Okay, then I got Scapious Maxi Sugar Rush, and that's what I need for my projects that I'm designing and trying to test myself. So this was white, this I think was royal blue. They're not saying that, but I think this was royal blue, or maybe this was royal blue, and this is my favorite shade of blue. Whenever I think of blue, this is the one that comes to mind. So this is color royal blue. Just doesn't want to focus. Yeah, this one is royal blue, but this one still doesn't say what color it is. And then I've got lighter colors that fit my living room also, and they also don't say color names for them. I guess royal blue is important enough to get that name on the label, but others don't. But they're still quite pretty, I think. Colors. So I've got 5 of those, even though one should be enough for what I have in mind. Then I got the set of interchangeable needles, knitting needles, and they are by Knit Pro, which I think is a good company, and they're in size 4, 5 and 6. I think the project I want to knit needs size 5 needles, so I hope this will be correct. And oh yes, I also bought spray starch because the projects I want to make are something of uh, like coasters or table runners, and I think I prefer to use starch on them, and I think spray starch would be the easiest way to do that. And I think that's it. That's all I have in this box. I'll just try to see. So here are the, because I bought like circular needles with cables, so these are the cables, and I think how to connect them to the needles. There's the instruction. Here are sorry, the needles, and I don't really know what this is, but I guess I'll find out once I start knitting. That's what I have for today. Thank you for watching, and hopefully see you next time. Bye!